What's going on, guys? It's your boy Sean Black, aka DFS 5050. You can follow me on Instagram at DFS 5050. Today, I wanted to show you guys basically some of the plays that I'm going to be working with tonight. Where I would like to start off at is with the Vegas lines. I've been monitoring this basically all day, and I will touch up here and there, just see where everything is at. And one of the places that I like to go to basically check the Vegas line movements is basically Fantasy Labs. Okay, it's actually free to look at. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to become a member or anything like that. They have it, freely available and everything. And basically, what I like to do with this is basically look at the numbers. Basically everything is simplified here. I don't have to go through any sports book to see the odds and implied live and open and whatnot. And basically a cool thing here is I can actually look at some confirmation as far as, line movements and seeing exactly where the money is going. Of course, if you go into the percentages right now, hold on, so let me put this for the 705 slate here. A lot of the money is going towards Houston, New York, Milwaukee, Arizona, Washington, and Pittsburgh. Okay. But what I like to look at here is basically, let's see who is basically out here to win. And right now, the two teams that I will have a high interest in, just because of their value, would be Toronto and Boston. So if you're looking for a team to stack, I will look at stacking Toronto and or Boston. One of the main reasons behind that is basically their pricing is good. They're in a good matchup. And of course, one of the main optimizers that I like to use is Daily Fantasy Nerd. Of course, if anyone has tuned in before, y'all know that that's my go-to lineup optimizer. Boston, they're implied to win by 60%, as well as Toronto by 67%. 9 out of 10 times, these two teams might end up being chalky. Boston performed very well yesterday, as opposed to Toronto. They didn't do so well, so you never know. They might come back with a vengeance and see where everything is at. If you wanted to look at some plays in general, I would say right now, one of the more solid plays would be Troy Tulowitzki, Josh Donaldson, Steve Pierce, and Kevin PR. Those are maybe the four guys that I will look at. On the Boston side, we're looking at Dustin Pedroia, Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, Chris Young. He did very well yesterday. You can look at his numbers. He did 37.7 fantasy points against Santiago, and I think we might have something in Mejia tonight against him. So it might be a good look to play those guys there. So again, with Vegas, that's what I like to do with Vegas. I look at these numbers and basically play around and see exactly who's going to be a good fit for tonight. What I want to show you guys now is some personal plays that I feel very confident about tonight. And basically, for home runs, I'm going to go with Giancarlo Stanton and Paul Goldschmidt. Those are my two guys that I'm locking in for home runs. And even if these guys don't hit for home runs, one of the things that I know for sure is that they will be able to get on base. They have a very probable chance of getting on base. So we can take a look at these guys real quick. Move this out of the way there. All right. So Stanton is going against Matz. I don't know their specific history, but let's see here. Stanton against Matz last season. Hopefully he wasn't injured last season when that happened. Okay, he had 3 fantasy points the last time, and then the time before that, 1 second, just kind of going through here. Well, the first go around, he had 28 fantasy points. Of course, on DraftKings it'd be a little bit different. But we're using FanDuel as a reference, by the way. And then time before that, he had 50 fantasy points, and then 3 on the third go round against Mats. So he has a very probable chance of really hitting some good numbers tonight. I do expect for Giancarlo Stanton to hit double digits, hopefully in the 20s, but somewhere between 10 and 15 points is just as good. The next person that we talked about was Paul Goldschmidt. He's number 3 on the list in the lineup here against Wainwright. And one of the things that I look at is seeing their recent history and seeing if they played against each other any. As you see, last time Wainwright went against Arizona, gave up about 6.75 runs on average. Let's see what Goldschmidt did against him in that particular instance. I'll wait for this thing to pull up here. Okay. They haven't played this far this year, so this should be their second outing this year. Let's see what Goldschmidt did against him here. Garcia. Against Wainwright last time, he had about 21 fantasy points. Again, one of the things that I'm looking at is, just double-digit potential. And again, these guys are able to go yard against their respective opponents, okay? The next set of guys that I look at is second baseman Ian Kinsler, third baseman Martin Prado, Alcides Escobar, George Springer, and Troy Tulowitzki. Those are the guys that I like tonight. Those are the guys that I'm plugging into the optimizer to create lines. And basically, I'm just going to, take it from there and see exactly how everything pans out. Just about everyone is in a really good position. I don't want to go into great detail. One thing I will say is that with these picks, I have a particular strategy that I spoke about regarding batted ball events and extra base hits. And based on that, there's some other things. That's the core root of my research. And basically from there, I correlate my personal research with what the DFS Army has in their VIP section regarding their spreadsheet. If you haven't tried DFS Army, or if you've thought about it, they have a 7-day free trial that you can check out. I have a link below in the description box. And I feel very strongly about their subscription. I've been subscribed to them for well over 2 years now, and I have made some good money under that subscription model. And I highly recommend it to anyone that's wanting to learn how to create their own lineups. And most importantly, this is for people who are tired of buying lineups from lineup providers. There's plenty of them out there. I'm not going to discredit all of them, but not all of them are who they say they are. So this is for people who are looking for a better alternative to have a better winning percentage in DFS, especially in MLB, because MLB, what a lot of people don't realize is that it's very volatile. It's a very volatile sport, and really knowing your numbers and really knowing your stats is very, very important. And there's a lot of factors that go into it, but once you get married to specific stats that speak to you the best, you'll end up winning more than you'll lose, and that's for sure. Hence the reason why I have what I have here tonight. Again, Giancarlo Stanton, Paul Goldschmidt, Ian Kinsler, Martin Prado, Alcides Escobar, George Springer, and Troy Tulowitzki. And trust me, every single one of these guys are in a really good position. When I look at the Vegas lines, let's see. Let's look at the value rating for these teams here. Okay, so Miami's in a good spot. Boston is in a good spot. Toronto's in a good spot. Houston is in a good spot, And a cool thing about this too, 9 out of 10 times when teams are in a really good spot, for example, Houston and Boston in particular, especially if you're playing on FanDuel, you can do a strategy where you can grab the picture of that particular team and stack them up with maybe 2 or 3 other players, because on FanDuel, they don't allow you to stack no more than 4 from one team, as opposed to on DraftKings, you can stack 5, and they can still pick the same pitcher from that team, and it would be counted against you. So that's just something to think about, guys. Again, I feel very strongly about these plays. I already have them locked in my FanDuel. I haven't decided on a pitcher just yet, but the one pitcher that I am looking at heavy as of right now are these two guys, Porcello and Paulino. Those two guys, I feel they can do some damage. Vegas seems to favor them by a lot, as well as there's a lot of money going into these two games right now. So, again, I feel very confident about these plays. Check out Daily Fantasy Nerd. You know, they have a 7-day free trial as well, too, that you can check out. And, you know, create your lineup optimizers, correlate it with Daily Fantasy, DFS Army, and build better lineups and build your own lineups. And that way, when you do win, not if, but when you do win, you can give yourself the credit and say, man, I was smart enough to, you know, check this particular optimizer out. I was smart enough to, you know, sign up for a winning institution, basically, if you really think about it. With the DFS Army, they have a lot of coaches, and they have people that you can, you know, chat with that can help you become a better DFS player. Again, when you play in DFS, it's not about short-term gains, it's about long-term success. So I want to make sure that you guys keep that in mind when you create your lineups or when you sign up for these entities that I'm recommending. Again, Giancarlo Stanton, Paul Goldschmidt, Ian Kinsler, Martin Prado, Alcides Escobar, George Springer, and Troy Tulowitzki. Again, this is your boy Sean Black, aka DFS 50/50, and there's two things you need in this world. That's faith and that's skill, and you got to have both. Peace.